Carrie Beck with How to Homeschool My Child and Life Skills Leadership Summit. And I am so happy to be here today. It has been one of the wildest weeks I have probably ever had in my life. I know I'm running about 5 minutes late, and that is because my son was here and we were checking the pipes outside. It took longer than we thought to make sure we didn't have frozen pipes because we had snow in Texas and we still have snow out there as well. And so, anyway, I'm excited. I didn't have electricity at the beginning of the week. Thank goodness we still have water, but it's not very good pressure. So we're just double checking and making sure we don't have any of those busted pipes. But that's not why I'm here today. Today, I want to talk to you about raising your kids to be Christian leaders who lead and influence well for Jesus Christ. Now, I'm a Christian. I talk from my faith. And so my faith will interact. If you are not a believer, I still think there are some concepts that you can get from here. So I've already told you what my weather is like here. I will tell you right now, all week long, it was like 6 degrees on Tuesday. It is 30 something. And I was telling my daughter today, I was like, doesn't it feel good and warm? She's like, well, it's warmer than it was on Tuesday. So if you're here, leave your name. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what the weather's like where you are as well. For those of you that don't know me, let me introduce my family. I thought I had a more current picture here, but I guess I don't. So this is our family, and I have 3 kids and that we homeschool for 10 years. So for those, I'll go through this quickly. Some of you already know us. You've heard this. Next video this afternoon at 4, I will have a different picture. So Ashley's our oldest. That's who I was talking to, and she is married to Jesse, and they have Faith and Elizabeth here. They live in Austin. They got the brunt of the storm in Texas, I will tell you. They were out without electricity with 2 girls for 2 solid days, and they eventually went to a friend's. This is Gentry. She is married to Andrew, and they have Landry, who is a lot bigger than that, almost 2 years old. They live up in Dallas. They did run out of electricity, but they have a mother-in-law who didn't. So 15 minutes away, they went and spent a few days there. Hunter's the baby of the family. He was in Houston, had electricity the whole time, but no water. So he brought 8-gallon jugs with him to get water to take home. That's our family. What I want to talk to you today about, and feel free to leave a comment here or a question. There was a question on the last post, and I hope to answer it in a moment. But what I want to talk to you about today are 4 steps that you can raise your kids to be leaders who influence. Now, some of you may be saying, well, my kids aren't going to be the CEO. They're not going to be a mayor. They're not going to be president of the United States. Why does leadership matter? Well, let me start with the definition of leadership, and then we will move into the 4 steps. I believe all leadership really means is influence. A good leader can influence those around them. So when that can be for good or that can be for bad. We're going to be talking about some different things and qualities of a leader. But to be able to influence means you bring people alongside and they willingly follow you in whatever direction you're going. Notice that word, willingly follow you. And so that's what we want to do. I wanted my kids to grow up to influence well for Jesus Christ. Now, they may not be president even of a company. They may not even own a company. They may not be on the city council. But I can tell you right now, 2 of them are already married and have kids. So they are leading their family. Hunter, I believe, will get married, but I believe I wanted my kids all to grow up to be good leaders in their family, if not other places as well. And there are other places. We all are influencing. And if we are influencing, we are leading. So what are the steps to actually being a good leader and raising your kids to be a leader? Now, let's see. I found my old ones. The first step, I believe, is a foundation of character. We need a good leader has good character. Let me just go ahead and put this up here. Yep, that's about right. Okay, so a good leader has character qualities. And they are good character qualities. If you don't, then you are influencing in a negative way. And so I believe the first place that you always start with your kids is by giving them a foundation of godly character. Even if you have a teenager, if they don't have a good work ethic, if they don't know perseverance, if they don't know kindness and forgiveness, that's where you need to start. You know, I know you may have had some years that didn't get done, but that is really the foundation of everything. So, what kind of qualities would you want in a leader? I would say one is to be a servant leader. My son, when he was interviewed as a senior in high school, he was nominated to be a classroom champion because he was involved in sports. He had good grades and he was a leader. And they asked him, what about his leadership was there? And he said, well, I really see myself as a servant leader. I serve others as they follow. And that to me, and I will just give you a little hint. Tomorrow night in my own community group, and I will put that link here in just a minute. In my community group, I'm going to be talking. It's a kickoff with Carrie, and I'm going to be spending the whole time on servant leadership. So I'm going to put that here. There's one other thing I want to put a comment with because let me find it. Just so y'all have it. There's two things I want to say, but one I'm in until the end. I'm going to put the comment. So if you go to How to Homeschool My Child in Facebook, you'll find a group, and that group is where I will be talking about servant leadership as well. Now, some other good qualities is walking in righteousness, learning to do the right things even when no one is looking. A good leader does the right things, not for him necessarily, but for his whole organization, his whole group, his whole family as well. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot more about character this afternoon, about 4 o'clock, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I do think you need to know the foundation, like the foundation of your house. Your house is built on something. The foundation is godly character. The next step, I believe, is raising our kids to be lifetime learners, and if they are going to be lifetime learners, they are going to love learning. So what are some things that we can do to encourage our kids to love learning so that they become lifetime learners? I can tell you right now that most leaders' libraries are probably as big or bigger than their TVs. They spend more time learning and growing. And so what are some things that you can do to encourage your kids to love learning? I will give you a few ideas. I have a whole course on that, but we're just going overview today. And so the first thing I would say is let your kids start to make some choices. If you're writing a paper, and I will give you another example of Hunter, and that is he had to write a 5-paragraph paper about a person. And we were studying Rome, and I'm like, oh, he could write about one of the emperors. He'd learned so much more about Rome. And I just thought that would be the coolest paper because it would, more history. And he's about 10 or 11 years old, and it was like, okay, Mom, whatever. I thought, well, this isn't going over so well. Does it really matter the person he writes about? The whole point is for him to learn to write a 5-paragraph paper with the intro and a closing and 3 body paragraphs in the middle. And I remembered we had bought a book about Derek Jeter a month or so before then. For those of you that don't know, he was probably one of the greatest shortstops for baseball. He played with the New York Yankees. And so I came back to him and I said, well, what if you wrote your paper about Derek Jeter? That lit him up. And he wrote a really good paper. He wrote another paper about baseball. I was actually cleaning up when we had no electricity, couldn't get online and do anything for work. So I was cleaning up and I found one of Hunter's papers. It was about baseball as well. So you see, the topic doesn't always matter. Did he still learn how to write an introductory paragraph and a closing paragraph and 3 body paragraphs? Yes, he did. Did he learn how to write an intro sentence and a clincher sentence for each of the paragraphs? Yes, he did. Did he learn how to use good grammar and good punctuation and vary his sentences? Yes. So did it really matter if he wrote about the topic I choose on emperors or the topic he chose on Derek Jeter? I actually think it does matter. The reason it matters is because he was enjoying his learning. He was loving learning to write because he was writing about a topic that he enjoyed. So let your kids make choices about what they want to study. I will tell you in high school, besides a humanities class that we talked and doing our Bible devotions in the morning with Steve, our kids pretty much had free reign about what they wanted to do. Now, we talked about if you go to college, here's what you will need, or if you're going to go to tech school or whatever you're going to do. But Ashley did not even finish Algebra 2. And she got a college degree. It was in a year and a half or 2 years. We came back to Texas. She wanted to teach school, and they have a program that she could enter in and teach for a year and do her student teaching. And she got her teaching certificate. And then she taught in at-risk kids in the public school for 2 years before she had kids of her own. And so I say that too often we get so boxed in. Well, the public school does this, the private school does this. They're telling us we got to do this, we have to do that. Let your kids have some choices. Renee said, we integrate life skills into our daily stuff. It does make me a bit nervous in the sense of making sure I'm covering everything. My eldest is 10. I'm going to keep reading, but I think I'm going to come back to that because it's life skills. But that's good. And that's a really good point. If we give our kids choices, does that mean they're not going to cover everything that's in the curriculum? I just made a point. I had a daughter who did not finish Algebra 2. She didn't, I don't think she took chemistry or whatever, all those extra subjects. But she got a college degree and she got it in 2 years and she got a teaching certificate and she taught school and she has used that education background to lead the children's ministry at a church that they attended for about 2 or 3 years, and right now they are at a different church and she has been asked to help in the kids ministry there as well. And so think about it. She got off that conveyor belt. And that's what this really is. When we raise our kids to be leaders, when we raise our kids and we give them life skills, we give them real life skills to prepare them for real life, what are we doing? We are hopping off that conveyor belt and we are preparing them for life, because that's what education should be. It should be working on this, which we're going to talk about in step number 3, but it's a lot of other things. When we're on that conveyor belt, we jump on, and let's say you've got a 10-year-old. So I'm going to guess they're in 4th or 5th grade. So they jump on at station 4 and they do everything that station 4 does. They are tested the same way as everyone else and they are given a stamp of approval and they're moved to station 5. All the same activities, tested the same way, approved, station 6, all the way down 12 stations. And then at the end of 12 stations, they are given a stamp of approval and they are sent off to the market, the job market. That is what public school is all about. Now, I go real in depth in this in some of my courses, but it was decided back in 1913. The industrialists, this was their plan. They wanted people to follow, and that's what most of us do. We are growing a generation, and a lot of us are products of a generation that have just followed, obeyed, and done what we're told. What I want to do is challenge you to do something different, to hop off that conveyor belt, to give your kids a better education that does prepare them to be leaders and influencers, that prepares them for real life with life skills as well. And part of the leadership is to actually grow that character, even if they're a teenager, start there. Give them a love of learning and lifetime learning. And then step 3 is a personal growth plan. And what do I mean by a personal growth plan? A personal growth plan is the opportunity for you to teach your kids how to think for themselves and how to make decisions. How does that work? In a nutshell, a personal growth plan is, we want our kids to not be doing multiple choice tests and even essay tests. We want them to dive into real books and into real life. And we want to journal about that. And then we want to discuss those concepts. The way that we did this is we used a read, write, and discuss. Hey, KL, glad you're here. Personal growth plan. Yes. Read, write, and discuss. And so how I did that personal growth plan is, 1, we set aside a time when they were older. This is more, I would say, junior high and older. You ought to start character when they are babies. And if you haven't, start wherever they are now. Love of learning starts really when they start asking why. So that's toddlers and preschoolers. Personal growth plan, I would say, it's more when they're starting to think abstractly. When they argue with you at 12-ish, it's time to start doing this. So what do? We would read a book, the kids would, and every day they read the book, they had to write 1 page about the book. Just 1. Something about what they read. And then once a week we would discuss whatever we were reading. And I would read the same book with them. It's called the read, write, and discuss. And I think it's very important because it gets us off that conveyor belt. You can use it in pretty much every subject available. Yes, even math. Some people have questioned my thing with math, but actually you could go, and I will tell you that Hunter learned the Pythagorean theorem and ratios from reading the biography of Pythagoras. And then we read, I don't remember the guy's name, but in Egypt, he was trying to figure out how tall the shadows were and all, and do things with the pyramids. So what he did was he took the shadow of a pyramid and a shadow of a person, and he compared how tall the person was to the shadow, and then he took how long the shadow was, and then he could figure out how tall the pyramid was. That is how Hunter learned. He did not get some math teacher doing fractions and doing all of that up here. We read the biography, we figured it out, and then we talked about other ideas and ways we could use ratios in real life. That is real life skills. Ratios are a real life skill. Sometimes we think that it's just cooking and cleaning, which is a good skill, and I will tell you right now, my kids all know how to cook and they all know how to clean and they know how to manage their time and how to schedule their time because I spent time teaching them those things. I will give you a little clue. Next, and I'm going to keep moving. Next week, we have something called Life Skills Leadership Summit, and there are over 60 workshops there, and you can go attend for free. The link is right there. You can go grab your grab your free ticket right there. And what is cool is each day we have a different track. So we have a leadership track and a life skills track. So one day you're going to have a track in leadership. The first day is basically general leadership. And like, how do you raise men to be godly leaders is one of them. And what's the how and the why of leadership? And how do we do the mindset? What kind of mind does a leadership leader really have? So that's one day. The leadership track also has the foundation, has a character track and Bible. It has a lifetime learning and love of learning tracks. That means all day that day, that's what you're getting are those workshops. It has a personal growth plan, and I call this How to Think in Independent Learning. And so that's there as well. I wish that someone, oh, Ko, you're so kind. I wish that someone had taught me in school how, well, the thing was I was learning to real life. So true. And I go back to Renee. Um, Sometimes I think we do get sort of trapped up in that conveyor belt. So that's why I sort of took a second to tell you try not to get too overwhelmed with whatever that checkbox is as well. So, and we do want them to be self-sufficient, but also know that if they're at home with you, they're probably there for 18 years, so you don't have to get everything done this year. You know, we didn't always teach science every year, and the younger kids, or maybe not every month, especially in the elementary ages. We did not do every single subject every single day, and I will tell you right now, I was a public school teacher, and I did not do every subject every year, every month. I also did not finish a textbook. I'm going to say that again. I did not finish a textbook in a year in a public school. So that should sort of relieve you and realize that you don't have to do everything that's written down. So character's the foundation, lifetime learning, love of learning, personal growth plan to where you're really getting your kids to think. So they are writing about the book or whatever it is you're learning, and then they are interacting with you. And there will be some workshops specifically on this. I'm just giving you an overview as well. Step number 4 is probably not the one you want, but this is what it is. It is you, homeschool mom. Meaning you're the one that has got to be an example for all of these things. Now, hopefully you already have character down and you are modeling it. Now, I will just be really honest. I was not always a good model of godly character. I actually got angry at my children. I would yell at them sometimes. That's not very good. It's not what the speaker's supposed to stand here and say. But God worked on me and helped me to bite my tongue. He also helped me to work with them in a biblical way. I will show you these later. I thought I had some on here. One thing I did do is I would use scripture verses, and that would help me think about what God wanted me to do, and then I could show them. At 4 o'clock, I'll be talking about character, and we've got scripture verses that we can share with you about that as well. Now, the other thing is I've always loved learning, so this was not really hard. This is where I had to really focus on for me. I had to have my own personal growth plan. So what did I do? I actually got a journal, and I decided I'm going to read the book that my kid's going to do. But before that, I'm going to start and do it by myself. So what did I do? It's, what is it, February? You could say, I want to do this personal growth plan with my kids, but it is end of February. I would spend March and April at least doing this on your own. Find a book, it can be a kid's book, and read it, and every day write about it. Don't tell me what happened. Answer the questions why and how and opinion and cause and effect. Write about what you're thinking. Don't just narrate it back. If you're narrating, you're back at step 2. You want to go further than that. So I did that, and it would take me a week or 2, just depends, and then I would read another one. I would encourage you to read 4 books. One of them must be an adult book on your reading level so that you understand what it's like to read on your own level, what it's like to write about a book on your level, and what it's like to discuss it. Each week, find one person. It might be your spouse, it might be a good friend, and just share, even just 10 minutes sharing about what you've learned in that particular book. Once you've done that through 4 books, then you're prepared to be able to do this. Don't just throw this personal growth plan on your kids unless you've tried it yourself. That is why step 4 is so vital and really is not the first step that we need to do. But you need to understand all of these before we can talk about homeschool mom. So, those are just some things about leadership. Um, Renee, I wanted to go back to you. So, one thing you said is, I don't think I can cover everything that life throws our way. That is so true. I will just tell you, you cannot cover. There's a couple things. Number one, that's why you need to be praying for your kids that they are prepared. Because if they are filled with the Holy Spirit, if they are following Jesus, God's going to show them what to do. So there's one thing that gives me a lot of peace with my kids. Even though they're off, you just never know. The other thing I think we need to do is really teach them here, especially in that upper junior high, high school years, start to give them the tools of how to think and how to make wise decisions. When you go through the read, write, discuss process, you're encouraging your kids to think beyond the literal and think abstractly. You're also encouraging them to make decisions about what's going on in the book and so forth. So, like I said, there will be workshops. I'll actually be talking about this a little bit more in depth because every day at the Life Skill Leadership Summit, I will be doing a kickoff. That means I'm going to do a 5 or 10 minute little talk. I'm going to have giveaways. We're going to go over the day, and it'll be a lot of fun. So here's a few things just to consider. On Sunday night, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock or Eastern time, I have a kickoff and I will be talking about servant leadership. I would love for you to join me to get the details of that. You need to go and grab your free ticket. So I would really go grab your free ticket right now. Then join our community group. That is where all the speakers and sponsors, they have been there for 2 weeks. They've been interacting, giving away things, freebies, asking questions, just providing a lot of insight. So that's where I would go. First, I would go to lifeskillsleadershipsummit.com/top. That will get you your free ticket. Next, I would go to facebook.com/groups dash or slash how to homeschool or how to homeschool my child, and that will get you to our community group. Both of those are great places to give you some support as well. So tomorrow night is our kickoff. I will be back here today at 4 o'clock to talk specifically about character. Tomorrow I will be at 4 o'clock Central. Okay, I got all my times. Let's go with Central Time. 4 o'clock today, Central Time, I'll be talking about character. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Time, I will be talking about leadership and qualities of leadership. And I'm going to talk a little bit about servant leadership. And I will be giving away 5 passes, 5 all access passes to the Leadership Summit tomorrow. And if you watch this feed, you can enter to win those 5 passes. All you have to do is the next post I post here, it will be the giveaway, and you will be able to actually go in there and leave some comments and enter to win. What's in the VIP all access pass? Lifetime, but you get instant access. So that means Sunday night when I award it to you, you will get it. And then you get all the workshops at once. You don't just get them out every single day. You can go watch any of them anytime you want to. You also will get a bonus package, and it is $215.98 of products that are life skill items, leadership items, homeschool items, and mom encouragement items as well. So that's what I have for you. And so I hope that you will go and enter that and be able to get one of our all access passes as well. If you don't win it and you want to go ahead and get it, I'd go ahead and grab it today or tomorrow, because the price goes up to $35. Excuse me, on Monday morning. So if you have any questions, leave a comment. Sorry, that just sort of hit me. And thanks for spending time with me. I hope I answered your question. There was one question I will say that was earlier, and Sharisa wrote it, and I'm going to answer that question at 4 o'clock because it's about kids not listening, and I think that's more of a character issue than this. So I'm going to go ahead and answer the listening question at 4 o'clock. So y'all have a great day. I'm Carrie Beck with Life Skills Leadership Summit and How to Homeschool My Child.